You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies.
This is AFTERBUZZ TV's True Detective After Show.
We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show.
It's AFTERBUZZ TV's True Detective After Show.
Here we go. T-Bone Burnett. Go, Joe. Football.
What happened?
T-Bone Burnett was a guy.
Wrote this really dark song.
Oh, you didn't
I hit it. Did you hear it?
You didn't warm up.
So was that?
It's all right.
Welcome to the...
What a time to hit puberty.
Welcome to the... Peter Brady. Welcome to the True Detective AFTERBUZZ After Show. Show number 4. Who goes there? What a great episode that was.
Was that a rhetorical question?
Amongst the group.
No, who goes there? Thank you. We're all here together. We're a little giddy because we just finished. We talked about this. We just finished the episode and ran right in here, and we are in shock. We're freaked out.
I don't even know what just happened to my world.
We're going to do our very best to do this show and try to give
This
some...
is her world, and this is what the episode did
Exactly.
to it. For those on video could watch
We're
it.
going to try to give some concise analysis. We're going to do our best to do the show here, but we probably need a day or an hour, 5 minutes to digest this.
I feel like we start this show the same way every week. The same way we go, we shouldn't be doing the show until tomorrow, but we're doing it tonight anyway. So we're
And
going to
that's
do
our show.
That's our show, ladies and
That's our
gentlemen.
show, everybody.
We're halfway through. The back 4, we're going to do them the next day.
Yeah.
Can I just say one
Anyway,
thing?
well, before you do that,
Okay.
let's just say that we're doing the AFTERBUZZ
No,
True
Nando.
Detective After Show. Let's do some business first.
Yes, business.
Yes.
I'm Joe Braswell. I'm here, as always, with my 3 favorite people in the world, in the whole world. Actually, 2 of my favorite people, and Joe Sanfelippo. Julia Cearley.
I
Hello.
make the cut. Hi, guys. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Gentlemen.
Nando Velasquez.
You forgive me?
I love you.
Okay, he loves me.
Actually,
All right.
I'm really pissed at you, but it's a separate story.
We'll talk about that later.
That's for off the
You brought it up.
Joe Sanfelippo.
Nice to see you guys.
It's great to see you.
It's nice to see you,
It's
Flippo.
actually,
It's nice to
actually
see
been a
you.
minute that we've all been here together, right?
I've been here.
I've been here too.
I've been here too.
Okay, maybe me.
I don't know. I mean, that's one way to view it.
All right.
It could be argued that you were not in attendance for some other shows.
Well,
All
it's
right.
been 2 weeks since we've all been together doing a show, since our last True Detective show.
Yes, because
Yeah.
last week was the Super Bowl.
I
That's
have not
right.
missed True Detective.
Nope.
No, you haven't.
This is a
So-
show not to be missed,
But it's been
though.
2 weeks. But it has been 2 weeks
That's
since the last
correct,
new
because we were on
episode.
hiatus.
Yes.
The people who have downloaded, people who have kindly downloaded this show don't give a shit about the other shows that we do.
No, they probably don't.
So we'll talk about True Detective. We're here. Maybe that's probably not true, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Anyway. Thank you for joining us. We're here. Episode 4. Who goes there? True Detective. And what the f did I just see? What just happened?
Hey, next level shit is what just happened.
Yeah.
That's what I think just happened. I think,
Yeah.
you know what do we call it? Shots fired, shot across the bow, warning shot fired at the rest of the fucking universe. This is how television needs to be made from now on.
Well, as you know,
This is it.
Well, 2 weeks ago, we had
Rob Beitzel.
Rob Beitzel in studio, and he talked about how Cary Fukunaga shoots this on film, and he treats it like a movie. And I feel like that the set pieces we saw today, especially that back half, which we will definitely get into later, this is film level stuff. This isn't like television. I didn't feel like I just watched a television set piece. I feel like that what I just saw was on the level of what I saw in Children of Men. If any of you have seen Children of Men,
Yes, great
Alfonso
movie.
Cuarón, amazing movie, and his amazing some shots in there. That was on par with what I saw in that movie.
Let me
Yes.
toss something out here, and you tell me what you think. And see, I want to compare it to film, but at the same time, I feel like this has the luxury of going beyond where film can go. Because in a film, you have an hour and a half. Maybe you have 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Right.
But you have 8 hours. I mean, I care so much more about the characters because they've taken the time. I think if you can do it, that's why I mean next level.
It's an 8-hour movie. It's an 8-hour movie with 2 big-time movie stars.
Yes.
With who has
At least
emerged-
2, really 3.
At least 2 or 3.
Yeah,
We'll
there's a couple of
Bridget. But if I think this is really like sort of a coming up. This episode, if I rave every single week about Cary and his work and the set pieces and the shot selections and everything looks like every shot is beautifully composed. But this episode, before we got to the last episode, the last thing in the projects, was beautifully shot and beautifully composed and beautifully executed. And then when I saw at the end, I feel like Cary Fukunaga has emerged as he's as a director and as a guy who can, sort of like set up shots and compose shots. I don't know. Like, he's doing it at the highest level right now. That's like Oscar-worthy work on television. I'm saying it.
I actually agree with you 100%, and I think I said it last week. This is the best thing on television, bar none. But we talk about this being an 8-hour movie, but I really truly believe that this episode stands alone.
Sure.
I mean, I haven't seen the back end of this, but I've only seen what leads up to this. But this was just so far out there, extraordinary, that I just never seen anything like that on television before, let alone very rarely in the movies. This was so stellar.
And we talk about the 8-hour movie, if you will, but we talk about like so much time that they spent sort of setting up the characters and setting up the world and setting up the whole thing and the dialogue, and it's kind of moving slow and plodding along. And then we go to episode 4, and the shit just kicks into gear. And like, what's going to happen in this back half? And if you think of the structure of a movie, it kind of like, we're at that midway point, right? So this is a point where like we have that turn. And so this is where shit starts to drop, and it really, really drops. And we got a lot. I feel like in the first half, we got a lot of good character stuff with Woody, and we'll talk about that later. But then in the back half, we got a lot of like great action set piece stuff and character stuff with Rust and McConaughey. I don't know, man. We just saw it, so I'm really freaking out. But
I want to give a shout out to Captain W.T. Hook, who has a note for us on iTunes. He said that loves our show, but my God, he's like, I just wish you guys would be a little more critical. And I here's the thing.
Well, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that today because I got some.
You got some criticism.
Oh, I got some criticism.
All right, because I don't. And so what I was gonna say to Captain W.T. Hook is, I want to have criticism, but it's so fucking good that I have problems.
Well, the criticism I wanted to talk about, the criticism I wanted to bring up is it's not necessarily my criticism per se, but I wanted to talk about the critics of the show. One being,
give me some addresses. I'm gonna go visit some people.
One being Andy Greenwald, who writes for Grantland.com, is heavily critical of this show, and he's a television critic, and he's heavily critical of the show for a lot of reasons. And one of the main reasons is he talks about this whole. I mean, he kind of has this sort of like serial killer, sort of white male, angsty serial killer fatigue. This is a white male talking, not me, but Andy. And he's sort of saying like, the women characters are poorly drawn here, and it's really just a story about a couple of dudes doing a bunch of dude shit, and the women are there to either be pains in the asses or sexual objects, and like how many times do you have to see this sort of thing, and blah 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 blah. And I do want to address some of those things with Julia, her being the resident woman on the show.
'Cause I'm a girl.
Wait, what?
But
yes, Flippo, I am a girl.
Damn it, but I'll get to that later. But I do in this moment, I do want to say that this episode, as if we didn't already say this, was fantastic. So can we just we all gave our impressions, but Nando, can we give your quick general impressions of the first episode?
Yeah, first of all, I just want to bring up, because we keep saying T. Burnett sings this song, but let's created. He created the song. You said created, but let's just give proper credit to the Handsome family, who actually are the ones who are performing this song, and it's called.
Here it is.
Handsome family
sings this song, written by T-Bone Burnett.
That sounds better. Yeah, I get that.
Right.
I get that totally. And it's called "Far From Any Road."
That is why Nando Velasquez. You are Nando Velasquez. That's why. That is the reason. Right
I just wanted to, in case people want to know. They want to know.
They want to know.
They might be looking for T. Burnett and not being able to find the song.
All right.
So there we go.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, look, without overly gushing over it, it was a really awesome. Too late, right? Awesome. I mean, we're definitely going to talk about the scene with the two of them in the bar.
Yep.
Which was, so well written. So many
best writing. getting to see on television.
That's why we're a couple of minutes late, because we had to keep replaying that scene over and over again just to write down some of these lines.
Rewind that, Nando. Rewind that. I need to see that again.
We had to show that over and over again. And then, I mean, there are definitely movies out there that have done really, really good use of the Steadicam, showing one shot. And I'm sure we'll talk
about that.
We'll definitely talk about that. But that last scene, just seeing it go from an endless shot with Steadicam, and just the amount of work and choreography and everything that had to go.
6 minutes. I'll tell you about it later on when we get to it. I mean, unreal.
Yeah.
We're all excited about it.
It's definitely a cinema lesson right there.
Joe, anything quick hits before we get into it?
Yeah, it made me feel old. I don't know how else to put it. Like when you're a younger guy watching a movie, you see characters that are kind of sketched out, and you're just getting to know them quickly, and then before you know it, they're thrust into things, and you don't really get you get a sense of like, well, he's an undercover cop, and so he must be good at this. But I think, again, with the luxury of having 8 hours and giving you so much time to get to know these characters, you really knew that Matthew McConaughey was going to know how to handle himself in the biker bar, and you also knew that Woody Harrelson's character wasn't. And when he's getting out the truck, we're all screaming at the TV, "Don't get out! Don't get back!"
It's true, we did.
We had that moment.
It was a very ghetto moment.
Not just the black guy. All four of us. Stay in the car, Woody.
Oh, it's true.
Joe the loudest. Super the loudest.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I think it was, again, you have that 8-hour luxury, so you've built these characters. So we know very clearly that one is good at this and one is probably going to fuck it up. And it was really interesting to me as an older man with a family. Not that I'm old, but I mean, like, I'm in my 30s and I have a family.
That's right.
You
have to backtrack.
I really felt a real sense of the vulnerability of being in that position. You're going in all alone, and you don't really know what you're doing, and you're in over your head, and it really was, again, I think only because you have that luxury to build those characters can you really give an audience that feeling without them taking it and going, well, he's a cop, therefore he's good at this, and we've only had an hour to get to know him, so he's going to be fine.
Sure.
Does that make any sense?
That makes complete sense, kind of. Julie, kidding, it makes complete sense.
No, it does.
Julie, standout moment for you aside from the
there's
6 minute
1 million
Steadicam?
standout moments, especially him doing pull-ups. That was a real standout moment.
Relax.
Relax. You asked.
What did I say when he was doing it? What did I say?
That's for you, Jules?
That's for you, Jules.
And it was. And thank you, Matt.
Yeah, right. Oh, Matt is Matt now, is he?
Yes.
Matt McConaughey.
We've grown very close.
Okay.
When he's doing pull-ups, I think he's Matt. Is that how it works?
It's just
Kind of Matty.
Matty McConaughey.
Matty
All
boy.
right.
Anyways, seriously, guys.
All right.
Don't even start with me. What I really loved about this episode is I felt that it gave us two different glimpses into these men's worlds and what makes them thrive and tick. With Woody's character, with Hart, when it gets down to it, it is family.
Sure.
That's where his focus keeps on going back to, even when he's making these, when Matt I'm calling him Matt, is making great
Matty.
Shut up.
Cole.
Great great thing, having great things happening with his case. He still goes, yeah. But what did she say? When you talk to my wife, what did she say? So that is truly what makes him tick. And then when you have Cole's character, this is the first time I feel we've really seen him come alive with a bit of excitement. So it seems like when he's going undercover, when he's delving into the underbelly of these criminal worlds, that's when he comes alive, and that's what makes him tick.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was a fascinating turn in learning more about these two men.
Right. Well, again, I'll just give my obligatory. As I started with at the top of the show. I'll give my obligatory sort of shout out to Nick. And the writing in this episode is exquisite
Just
writing,
phenomenal.
But more than that, I mean, the acting. I think Woody. This is like his Emmy episode for sure. I think the range that Woody showed in this episode was phenomenal. I think he really did the damn thing. Not to be undone by McConaughey, who's just continually doing the damn thing. But I think so. You have the holy trinity, if you will, the trifecta of brilliant writing meets exceptional acting. But the star, again, I'll say, is just Cary Fukunaga, like as a director.
Yeah.
Like, what happened here in this episode as a 1 hour episode, like visually what I saw and what I got from these characters and these different set pieces, and of course that 6+ minute Steadicam shot at the end was, again, is just incredible. So I think that this was this really sort of this touched the ceiling of what's possible in television to me. Like this is actually like it touched the ceiling. So
I've never seen anything like it.
I feel very good about it. So we made it all clear. So now that we made that all clear, we spent 14 minutes talking about that. Let's actually get into the episode itself. Let's break this episode down. But before we do that, we want to thank all of you for.
Before we do the start,
but
before we do that.
You just Seacrested them.
Yes.
Yes.
Coming up.
And you killed Steven.
But first, before we start the show, thank you all of you for joining us on iTunes and downloading us and listening to us, making us the #1 show here at AfterBuzz. Even when we had our week off, we're still #1 show, and we appreciate all of your comments and all of your comments on iTunes and you rating us and making us great and rated well, and all of your YouTube views and YouTube comments. We appreciate all those, and we'll shout out some new people in a second. And then you can also check us out here on AfterBuzz as well. So I appreciate all of that, and we all appreciate it, and continue to rate us and continue to give us 5s or tell us that let's talk about the show because we're 15 minutes in. Do that too, right?
Yeah.
So let's do that.
Let's do
talk
that.
about it,
Okay,
guys.
let's talk about the show. But first,
But
I want to mention that I'm wearing the same shirt.
Oh God, I knew you were gonna do that.
All right, forget it. All right.
You look handsome.
I want to. So let's just linearly. We start this episode really getting into the thing about this, which is so great, is we ended the last episode 2 weeks ago with this crazy setup of like this insane setup of this shootout that's going to happen, and Reginald Ledoux and all this stuff is going to happen, and the
guy with the mask,
and the gas mask,
Yeah.
and
In his
tiny
drawers,
whiteys.
yeah.
In his drawers.
Like
very
giving
Walter
you,
White.
as your husband said, giving you the FU walk. Walking. Your husband's very funny.
Say that though sometimes.
He's like, he's walking around his tidy white, he's giving you the fuck you walk. And that's exactly what happened. That's an Eric
He's quite
Kearley.
elegant.
He's
Eloquent,
funny.
eloquent,
He's
eloquent.
that too.
Did you give him the shout out? Was it clear that was for Eric Kearley?
Yes.
There it is. All right.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, but yeah. So we ended last week or 2 weeks ago with that episode, and we really I thought that that felt like a cliffhanger.
I thought that was like the crux of
so
this
we
whole
thought that we would
episode.
jump into episode 4 with the shootout and with stuff that was going to happen, and it didn't happen.
No.
We had an
Not even
entirely
close.
different situation here. We actually went into a whole nother setup, which was fantastic. I was not disappointed in one bit with what we saw, even though we had that cliffhanger hanging. But it also means we still have that to come, which is also very
Well,
beautiful.
it seems like the mystery's done. It based on this episode, now it's just a manhunt for Remy Ledoux.
Right.
You know, as opposed to the first 3 episodes where it was more trying to figure out exactly who did these crimes.
Maybe for 17 years ago, but it certainly seems like in the 2011
that there's somebody
that
else.
they're going after Cohle.
Right.
Well, that's also based on scenes from next week.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, just saying.
I'm just saying.
I know.
All right. So we start off with a great episode of them in the box doing another interrogation, which is great. And we started off with
that was a great scene.
Great scene seeing Woody and McConaughey work together in the box, which was really great, and in getting what they needed to get. We saw, like Woody talked about who's the box man. Like obviously McConaughey is a great box man, but they did just a very great version of good cop bad cop in that sequence there. They got the information they needed.
I love McConaughey's line. We're not going to give you the Oscar no matter how hard you try.
Yeah.
I love that line.
Some amazing lines. So that all went down. But then we transition from that. We get what we need. But then we have that confrontation with the mistress, the court reporter, and Woody.
Yeah.
And then we see that, Woody, what's great about that is, Woody, we saw that great or amazing scene where Woody went and confronted the guy and was there and asked him very politely if he had received oral sex from Woody's mistress.
That's how he worded it, too. Did you receive oral sex from my mistress?
I have one question for you. Did you receive oral sex from a mistress?
Excuse me, sir, as I pound you.
I beg your pardon.
As I pummel you.
You're naked on the floor. Let me ask you a quick question.
Pardon me.
First things first.
Right. So that happened, and then we see it seemed to sort of go without consequence. We kind of all but we see all those chickens came right home to roost.
Can I say that I think there was an interesting choice made? It certainly seemed to me that the court reporter, his mistress, was carrying around was carrying around her stenographer's, I don't know what the heck you call it, whatever they type on.
Suitcase, whatever.
Typey thingy. The stenographer's typey thingy.
Tickety-tickety.
The tickety-ticky of the stenographer, which has special buttons, I think, and whatever.
Yes.
It's like 4 buttons.
She carried that around the entire scene. I don't know if you guys noticed that. So she's lugging that, and they could have made a choice to just give her a bag, but that thing was heavy, and I think that informed the scene. And
she didn't swing it at him.
No, and I thought it was really neat. I just wanted to give a shout out that there was some heavy stuff going on.
Actors Corner with Joe Sanfelippo.
Just saying that made some interesting stuff happen.
And I think she chewed gum while she was walking too. It was amazing.
So that happened. So we see those chickens came home to roost. She actually went and wrote a letter that we did not see the contents of the letter, which is also a neat choice. And to obviously, like we saw Woody reading the letter.
No, that was from his wife.
No,
Lisa
Maggie.
Maggie.
Sorry, you're right. I'm sorry.
Maggie wrote the
Lisa
letter.
came to the house.
That's right.
She
I'm screwing this whole thing up.
full-blown showed up on the dude's doorstep.
Mm.
Shh, that girl's fucking crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look. Okay.
Not
fine.
to be done.
Hold on. But do you blame? I mean, I don't know.
Oh, wait a second.
Blame her?
Who do you blame?
Hold on
Who
a
do you
second.
blame? Do you blame the mistress?
Let me ask you a question. There was a quote.
Right.
Nando wrote the quote down. Nando, could you please read the quote?
What's the quote, Nando? What's the
I think
quote?
Rust said it better than we're gonna say it.
with all the dick swagger you roll, you can't spot crazy pussy.
Boom.
There you go.
If you cannot spot the crazy pussy, you get what you deserve.
Okay.
That was a great line.
No offense, but
Phenomenal
Matthew
Brian.
McConaughey, you are not Nando.
Oh, you want me to? I just read the line. You want me to act it? I'm sorry. Oh,
but
geez.
no, that's a good point. I just feel like that. The chickens came home to roost. Like, he's out there doing his thing. Like, you can't expect to be cheating on your wife in that manner and that publicly and that whole thing at the hoedown at the bar. That whole scene he pulled with the dude, and then going to the dude's house and politely asking the guy if he'd perform oral sex with his mistress.
You did received. I'm sorry, received oral sex from his mistress. That whole thing, like, what did he expect to happen? And you as a woman, Julia Cearley, maintain that was a crazy B move?
She knew exactly what she was getting into, as did he.
Sure.
You're banging a married dude. It's not like he was. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be whatever, but come on now. I don't
mean to be whatever either, but come on now, you're banging a married dude.
in all fairness,
I couldn't agree with you more.
There are certain expectations.
Bitch, be crazy.
Well, in all fairness, it's not like she can run to the police department and report him because they're all on his side, except for Cohle. Probably if she went to Cohle.
So she comes to the crib.
Yep.
She confronts Bridget Moynihan.
Yeah.
Tells her off, and she reacts as you would expect to react.
Yeah.
Packs her shit, packs the kids, and gets the fuck
Gets out of there.
Writes him a nice little letter saying sorry, and but I'm leaving.
Bye, darling.
But I do want to talk about Woody's performance of reading that letter, like the coming home and being like that was brilliantly acted. Like him coming home and looking around like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Let me ask you a question.
Hold on. Is reading that letter and sort of getting through that letter and the look on his face and then being like, fuck, that whole thing. That was quite the performance. Go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry.
Let me ask you a question. I mean, do you think he wanted to get caught on some level?
No.
I don't buy.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, this is an honest question.
I don't buy into that. Like,
okay,
on some level, he wanted to.
Well, no. Like, let me tell you why. So he gets caught, right, and that brings him basically back to start. So this is over now. Now I'm back to chasing my wife. I'm back to chasing my life. So as a character, I wonder, did you want to get back to that place? Did you feel? I mean, because I think he was out of control. I feel like he was out of hand. And I think he kind of on some level wants, I don't know, I kind of got the vibe he wanted to come back to a place where he was chasing his life.
I think he was coming from a place of maybe the grass is always greener, perhaps, because as we've seen in that confrontation that Maggie and Hart have in, I think it was the second episode in the kitchen where he goes, I want it to be what I want it to be. Like, what I envision, that's what I expect it to be. And when it wasn't that, when she wasn't this doting wife and this meek little creature and cooking his meals and rubbing his feet, whatever, I don't know what he wanted. Right. I think that he rebelled and didn't know how to deal with it. Wow. But in the end, it's never going to be that, and that's what he had to realize.
Well, let me ask you this, and this is why I think this is something I think is interesting about this type of character, and I think it's worth delving into. It is a guy who wants his cake and he wants to eat it too. I think he wants to be able to have the piece on the side, but I think that he gets out of control. I think he gets too much, and I think that he wants to flip it and I think he wants to chase. And so if he wants to chase ass on the side, then he's chasing ass. But if he gets caught with that whole thing, then he wants to chase his family back. He wants to chase one way or the other. He wants to be chasing. I think he wants to be trying to get something.
I mean, I don't want to go. I mean, I'm not discount anything you're saying there, and I think that it's a valid opinion. But I don't want to super psychoanalyze why or what he did. I think that like it's my opinion that and whether it's Nick Pizzolatto or whatever, the opinion seems to be, and Woody Harrelson said this himself, the character said this himself, is that like the job is a shitty job. It's a shitty job. He's working this job. He's a damaged guy. To keep it together, in order to get, and I'm not passing any judgment or anything like, but to keep it together, in order to hold his family together and do this job, like, and do what's required of him as a family, he thought it was necessary to be able to have his piece on the side to be able to keep himself sane. Now, that was pretty much his only thing. Now, he doesn't want to lose his family. He doesn't want to stop being a detective. He doesn't want to, like, stop banging this hot, stenographer, but he does want to just keep it all. That was how he kept it all together. The thing is that it fell apart for him.
Let me cut in.
Because you can't do that.
Let me cut in. So last episode, I mean, I called it out. Everyone smells his bullshit except for him.
Right.
And that's pretty much what it is. And it's really, this is the ramifications of the whole thing. He finally gets to notice it. What happened with him and Lisa is he closed the door on Lisa based on that conversation they had at the courtroom when he was walking away in the elevator. He's going to find another Lisa. Sure. I mean, it's pretty obvious. We all know he's going to find another Lisa. He thought he got away with it with Maggie, and Lisa decided to turn the tables on him because she was disrespected. And as far as I'm concerned, this is just, we get to see him unravel. We get to see him caught. He finally gets to realize that he's not as secure as he thought he was. He thought he could play the detective. Everything to him is this high status. How dare someone? I mean, look at his reaction to Lisa when she did what she did. Yeah. Look at the names that he called her. Look how crazy he went on her. Because God forbid you do that to a detective. Yeah. Look at the way he was in the hospital with Mr. Nerdy Doctor. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. Are you here in a law enforcement capacity?
Are you here in this capacity?
Yes. Are you here? Look, this is a man. What I found really interesting though about Woody's character Hart is it really is a 180 from him and Cohle. He was the one that was unraveled. He was the one that was really weird. Cole's the one speaking reason. Right. Even as awesome as some of the lines was that Cohle was saying in the bar when they were talking together, Cohle was the one that was rational. Cohle was rational with Maggie. Cohle was rational with Hart. So that's what I loved about it.
Well, we said, I think it was 2 episodes ago. What episode did he get chained up by the girlfriend?
2 episodes
ago. 2 episodes ago.
Number 2.
Yeah. He says, you take your release where you can.
Because it was the nude scene that I very much remember.
Excellent. And
Me too.
As does the internet.
Yes.
If you could wear out digital, but you can't.
Oh, Alexander.
So he said to the interviewers, you guys know what I'm talking about. You take your release where you can. And to me, that smacks of a guy justifying his choices without really analyzing his choices. And I just think that's worth pointing out. And I think,
enough. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I just feel like, that there is an underlying reason for all this. He's making these choices for a reason. And it's just never enough for him, maybe. But I really think he wants to be in a position to chase something.
He even said in the interrogation, in modern day or 2012, when he does the more modern thing, he even says to the other detectives, the detective's curse. The solution's right under my nose, but I was paying too much attention to the wrong clues. This is a perfect example of what he's going for.
Which I do want to bring up a couple things based on that. Number one, it just sort of brings back, like, man, that was a very, very painful, like visceral, painful experience to sort of experience as a viewer, to watch Woody as a man, as a viewer, to watch Woody go through that whole thing, and sort of like, whether you've been through that or not, to identify like what that must be like, to like, this is this and this is that. And it was very, so it's a very visceral experience to go through, and very painful experience to go through. But it's also, look, having been through, it's just, open my window, having been divorced and been through marriages and relationships and whatnot. It's an interesting thing when you're going through that, how horrible that thing is at the time, how life-altering and how just the worst thing it is at the time. And then you cut to Woody Harrelson of 2012, and he's like, yeah, those crazy times.
How many exes do you have?
Yeah, he's like, how many exes do you have? Woo, that was nuts. And then you cut back to 95, and he's like, God damn it. He's going nuts. And I think that was just brilliantly written and brilliantly portrayed, because it's a thing where, like, when you're going through it, it is horrible, but also to be able to have that that storytelling device where you can go and have that perspective, like from 2012, because perspective is a thing that we don't really get in sort of linear storytelling that much. We sort of just get like, this is happening right now, and you get some acting, some showy acting. But to be able to have a storytelling device where we get in that moment Woody Harrelson be able to do that great acting piece from the moment he's read that letter to the phone call to the hospital, and then cut back to, you know, how many extras you got? Like that was a lot. That was a lot of really, really good stuff, which is why this show is so freaking amazing.
Sorry,
you know?
Captain W.T. Hook, but it is really good.
It's great. I'm sorry, W.T. Hook. But speaking of W.T. Hook, I do want to go back to that because one of the things that that has been criticized about the show is that. So I just said how, as a man, I totally identify with that Woody thing, and that was crazy, and I'd been through divorce, and I get it, and that's all, and all that stuff's happened. But Julia, as you watch, as a woman, you watching this stuff, do you get the sense that this is sort of like this is a bunch of dudes doing dude shit, and the women are a bunch of prostitutes and people who are either bitches or people who service these guys? I mean, do you get that, or is that a valid thought? Is that something that crosses your mind, or do you not feel that at all?
You know, it didn't cross my mind till it was brought up to me, to be honest. Maybe I'm a really awful feminist.
Hey.
But, you know, it was brought up to me on Twitter by Jennifer Ballast, actually, who
What did she say?
tweeted me a lot, actually.
She's like, as
she
a
says,
woman.
Yeah, well, yeah, she goes, female corpses have become a fashion trend.
Oh.
At Julia Cearley at AfterBuzz, when a writer cannot write a female character worth listening to, he's not a good writer, period.
Ooh.
And then also, when a
Shots
director
fired.
shoots women's body parts more than women's faces, he's not a good director, period. Like, she's pissed.
Yeah.
She's pissed. And you know what?
Okay.
You know, shout out to her.
Yeah.
She's a better feminist than I.
Sure.
But I am so involved with this story and these characters and this world that they've created that's not on my radar
Right.
of women being
Objectified or portrayed a certain way.
equally or anything like that. And also that's the location, that's the time period, that's the place, that's
yes.
where we are, and women are
This
not
is a certain
necessarily-
time and a certain place.
You're
Yeah,
saying
women are
1995
not-
is that time?
Well, I mean, I don't
In the
know about a certain time and a certain place.
Well,
I'm
no,
not
it's a
saying,
certain
like, this
place.
is women's suffrage or anything like
yeah.
that, but
It's not
but the-
Mad Men here. Like, we're not like talking
No,
about.
but we're not. We're also not. We're not seeing a show that's happening in a major metropolitan area, and then we're not seeing that these are upper middle class folks, and we're not seeing educated people. We're seeing people that are living in the deep south. We're going the church scene that we saw.
Oh, thank you, Linnea.
There it is. The church scene that we saw was in a field. I mean, we
Right.
saw a church that was a mobile church, so you go from place to place, and you hope people. This is a very specific lifestyle.
It's
So
a more traditional lifestyle from
I mean, it's
an
not
older time.
a world in
That's
which
your thing.
I was raised or which I grew up with, but I grew up in Los Angeles.
Sure.
So what do I know?
Well-
but also, throwing things.
It's all right. Relax.
Most importantly, I'm in
McConaughey's
this for
not here.
this.
Matt's not here.
You think I just throw a pen then? You don't even know what I do. Most importantly is that this is about a story, and this is about this one particular crime and these two particular detectives and
Sure.
the world and worlds in which they move. And this is the world. These are the worlds in which they are surrounded,
Right.
and that's how women are portrayed, and that's how they are sometimes objectified.
Well, just to add to one thing, I mean, Rust or Cole's philosophy that we talked about, I believe it was in the last episode, was just that every man is a sinner or every man's guilty of something. So everybody, I don't think there's really any one character in this show that's not morally wrong in some kind of way. I mean, are we making it? Is this a misogynistic world?
Well,
I'm not sure. I mean, there's the one person from the trailer park, the one woman from the trailer park that spoke up to Hart when he was talking about the underage girl, for
And
example.
here's the
And
thing.
Maggie too, I think, is a pretty
These
powerful
women,
person.
they're not being portrayed as weak women.
Yeah.
They're strong for the environment in which they live.
Well, look, I understand the
Some,
criticism.
not all.
I understand the criticism.
Some
I
die.
think that I
Some.
get the criticism, but I feel like that a testament to what they've done here, the writing and the execution of the show. The writing is so great, and we are so involved in the story. Sometimes you can just get involved in a good story, and it may not cross every demographic. It may not show black folks in the best light, or women in the best light, or any Jews or nerds like Nando in the best light. But it.
You had to look at that.
But sometimes you can really like you can rest inside a great yarn. This is great writing and great storytelling. And in terms of like I grew up in, first of all, look, that going back to that interrogation scene in the box, like I'm a black man and I didn't grow up in the rural South. Some of the shit we watched that thing with subtitles. Some of the shit that Matthew McConaughey and my man were saying back and forth with each other, I'm like, what the fuck? That's some southern ass shit.
God for subtitles.
I don't know
especially
what.
That scene.
I read it. I heard it. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck these motherfuckers talking about.
Hold on, wait.
With Charlie Lang?
Like Charlie Lang?
Yeah.
Charlie Lang.
Like,
By the way, I got to pull up the
Lang's
actor's
talking
name. He was
like some
amazing.
Southern-
He was really
He was
great.
amazing.
Genius.
Let me
actor.
toss this out here
Go ahead.
with regard to this feminist, the feminist concern. I do get it. I mean, I have two daughters. I understand.
Yeah.
But
And also, you're the same guy who mentioned that there were a couple sixes.
I did, and I do feel that that's a valid and strong choice.
Hey.
I feel that
Mr. Feminism.
you know what I'm saying?
Just to speak on behalf of
I'm
all
March.
sixes.
We will overcome.
Yes.
Wrong movement, but that's okay.
Yes.
So I really think that you get a real sense of reality. I think there's a temptation that we all have, and it feels very networked to me, and to kind of whitewash a lot of stuff, and we go, okay. These were strong female characters that existed, and they were highly educated, and they were terrific, and they were empowered, and they lived in the rural South with no money and no opportunities, and there was no jobs and no options.
Okay.
No. The educated people left. That doesn't make any sense. Right. This gives a real sense of reality. This gives a sense of these are small towns in the rural South where there is no industry, there are very few jobs, there's not much money, and you get a sense of not very many options. You get a sense that Maggie made smart, safe choices in picking a cop to marry.
Right.
And she played her cards right. And we get a sense that Lisa played her cards wrong. And these cards are only being played in the context of the reality that we're being shown. And so that is a Southern reality, no money, no options, in a very specific place, in a very specific time. Sure. And I think if you take that out and you start adding in characters that don't belong, then it stops losing, it loses that sense of reality. Okay. And I think that is my concern with overly analyzing some of that.
We look at
That's a hot take, Joe Sanfelippo.
Bang!
Joe Sanfelippo, hot take. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh God, I don't even know. At some point they say that this community, this world this town is a world left behind. You know, and so they're not as dare I say evolved as some of the more metropolitan areas. And these lives are lives rooted in tradition.
Fair enough.
That haven't seen what's going on outside.
So just to summarize, because we've only got about 10 minutes left.
Oh my
we
God,
do,
no!
Yeah, we've got a lot to get to.
Okay,
go. But just to summarize,
Chicks rule.
Chicks rule.
Chicks rule.
Even if they're sixes. No.
Oh my God! Did you just say that?
There's definitely the women characters are a product of the environment that the storytelling is involved in, and we're okay with that.
I'm okay
with that. Okay, next.
I am a woman, and I'm cool.
Next 10 minutes, there's two things we really have to get to. The first being the bar sequence, because after we saw what happened with we had all the things that happened with Woody's character and all that stuff, and then we see McConaughey coming in, and this is I loved every single bit about what Russ did as a character to come in the hospital and say sort of man to man, Joe, like you and I are buddies. We're friends for like 14, 15 years. I know I really thought of you. I'm gonna get like emotional on this show, but I thought of you because if there's a moment where like I'm acting a fool or you're acting a fool or shit's wrong, I feel like that we can call each other and be like, and
I think we have.
There's a certain
several occasions.
So there's a certain shorthand in that moment in the bar. He's like, dude. I mean, it's not in the bar, but in the hospital, he's like, we have the case. I know you got to do your thing right now. I know you're getting, rustled up by mall cops and doctors, but we have a case. And he was smart enough to know in that moment that like the one thing that sort of like that supersedes all the bullshit he's going through with his family is his job and the importance of this case. He's like, I got a break on Ledoux. And he's like, all right, I gotta
go right now.
I gotta go right now. And that was just a really great male
way to pull him out.
Male moment. I thought that was
no, and I thought it was very smart.
Leading into the bar.
He didn't meet him on let's argue the merits of whether or not we should fight with your wife right here. No, we're gonna argue. We're just gonna hate the case. We gotta go.
Yeah. Sometimes guys have this sort of shorthand. He's like, look, you're making a fool.
And it's a way to save face too.
Right.
I mean, that's the other side of it. I mean, if you go in there to pull your buddy out and you're gonna have the actual confrontation, then you have to go. No, you're acting a fool and you're acting like an ass and you're doing this in front of all these people and I have to throw you out. Instead of, hey, you got to make a decision as a professional that we got to go.
Well, after Nerdy Doctor and the mall cops were trying to push him away, you know, he needed someone to go, hey, man, you got bigger things to do. Excuse me.
So that's
sort of a turning point, don't you think, in their partnership? Because we've seen in the last 3 episodes of them moving farther and farther and farther apart and being more distant and having different ideals and different ideas. And this was a moment that brought them back together.
As Hart
and now
unravels,
they've been working together so seamlessly.
As Hart's been going off the deep end, he needs to rely on his partner more and more. So that's become an issue of trust. And look how much trust is involved in this episode, because it involves Cohle to go deep undercover with nobody knowing, except for Hart.
Well, just one of the things that I wrote down is like one of the great pleasures of this show, as it's turned out these 4 episodes, as being like one of the great like moments I look forward to every time I like fire up an episode of True Detective is having Rust and Woody in the car talking to each other. Sure. Those are my favorite moments. And so we had a little bit of that, but we had the bar scene, which is them sort of straight talking to each other. There's a moment where it's kind of like, you know, McConaughey is the truth serum. Like Russ is giving it to him absolutely straight. And what I love about that sequence is not only is he giving it to him straight with all those great lines, like, look, man, all that dick swagger you got, like, you got to recognize crazy pussy. I just said it, but I'm a horrible McConaughey myself. But like all the things that he said, which were amazing lines, in that moment, like, Woody got it. Like, he got it. He's like, yeah.
Got through.
All right.
Sure.
Shit.
Well, no, let me toss this out there. You know, tell me what you think. I really don't get the vibe Rust really wants to get involved in the marriage.
He says none of my business.
But I think that's real.
None of my business.
I think that's real. And he's, you know, like, hey, I don't want to talk about
it. Facts.
Let's go. And I think that's legit. I mean, the tactic.
But then why is he meeting Maggie?
That's separate. That's separate.
That's separate, but still, I feel like he's still kind of friendly with Maggie.
So that's the question. So do you think it's like, hey, I really want out, or do you think it's like I really want out, and the best way to keep you moving is to agree to meet Maggie, and is that? Do you think that's
he's just trying to keep him? I think he's trying to keep his relationship between the two of them separate. That's all it is.
I think that's part of like the partnership. I think that was the only link that Hart has to Maggie right now is Cohle. She's the only one he'll talk to. He's the only one she'll talk to.
Right.
Right? So I think he did it as like a bro favor.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So is the means is from his point of view, is that, do you think he wants do you think he did that just to keep Hart's character on point?
Right.
Do you think it's like, I'll go talk to Maggie, fine, but then you and I are going down to Texas?
Well, I think that was his thing. Yeah.
Right?
And obviously he's interested, and there's some interest there, but I don't think he's going there to try to, just like when he mowed the lawn, he wasn't going to try to get with her. I think he was just really going there to mow the lawn, so to speak. You know, and like, and that was that.
You don't mow another man's lawn.
You don't do that. Okay, so moving on from that. So the bar scene was fantastic. There's got some straight talk there. You see these guys really bonding. You see why in 2012 Woody has the respect for Rust that he has. You know, you see that now. Given this, you see this relationship growing. Even over 4 episodes, you sort of see this camaraderie in this relationship growing. But we have to, in these last sort of 4 or 5 minutes, get into this crazy freaking sequence. Like
6 minute take, man.
Okay, so first of all, we get insight into Rust, right? We know we find out that he went undercover. He's been there
for 4 years.
4 years.
He was undercover.
And I just say, like, shit got so real so fast from the moment he opened that go box with an AK and some money and a bottle of Jameson. Who has some Jameson in their go box aside from you, Julia?
Who has a go box?
Okay, well, I don't know. You got to have a go box.
Am I the only one here without a go box?
Lemieux has a go box.
I have a Jameson.
Totally have a go box.
Yep.
So, but the go box is happening. He's got all the guns. He's got all the shit ready to go, and he's got the fucking Jameson in there too.
Good man.
So he's done all that. We see him set up, and he's briefing Woody on how this is going to go down, and he is dead goddamn serious.
Holy shit! How
and Woody's face is like, what what's going to happen? He's
putting stuff into his veins.
Cayenne pepper.
And
he's getting ready to go deep. Dude went 4 years in recovery. He knows exactly what he's doing. I will say this, and I love Sons of Anarchy, and I love Kurt Sutter, and I love The Shield, and I love all those guys, but man, like I said, what I saw, like that whole portrayal of that biker world and the quote-unquote outlaw community, that made Sons of Anarchy look like freaking Honey Boo Boo.
Can I give a shout out to whoever did the extras casting for that?
Yo,
because there wasn't that, dude.
There is not.
Those dudes were real. Extras,
that's fine.
Those are some scary ass white boys.
Whatever. That's what I was gonna say. Whatever you got, I was not interested in hanging out with any of them. And I want you all to know I respect you a lot, and I wish you nothing but the best.
The outlaw community. If you're listening, Outlaw Community, you guys are
great job.
All in my book.
I'm guessing they booked, directly from the Outlaw Community.
Yeah,
on that.
I'm just telling you. The Outlaw Community.
That's how you put the casting out. You put it in the paper.
Extras breakdown going out.
Seeking Outlaw Community.
Okay, we gotta wrap this up. So the Outlaw Community was in full effect. We had that. Those guys were real as hell, scary. Matthew McConaughey goes in there, and actually the party was crazy. And we all talked about how we shouted for Woody to stay in the car, which was insane.
Sure.
But we get through that whole thing. But when the actual job that went down for these crazy ass,
when ZZ Top put on the cop uniforms, that was deep.
Crazy ass outlaw white boys to go into the projects. And that was probably, I'll just say, this is probably one of the most, I said it at the top, I'll say it again, probably one of the most intense set pieces I've seen.
That was not a set.
No, I'm just talking about set pieces as as
set
written
in place.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
As in written. But thank you for that, Joe. But as it was not a set. Thank you. As written, it was an incredible set piece to be able to say we're going to go into these projects and go and do this thing as standalone, and there was so much tension to be able to execute that in a single shot, from McConaughey putting the kid in the tub to shit was gonna go wrong. I haven't felt that much. I don't think I felt anything like that in a TV show and a movie in a long ass time. I said that earlier.
There's a moment of suspense when you're just wondering when the cut's gonna happen, and it's not happening,
and
it's not happening, and it's not happening,
and it keeps going, and it keeps going, and it keeps going. So you want me to tell you a couple things about it? All right. So here's the thing: it was a little over 6 minutes. Okay, all one cut. They did it 7 times. That was in an actual housing project. Okay, so they had to get permission to shoot inside the housing project. They had to rehearse. They had to design Russ' actual fighting style. Then they had to rehearse the fighting style. But it is not a movie. It's still TV. So they only had a day and a half to do that.
Sure.
So those fight scenes were rushed. I mean, it was only a day and a half. So, and everything is one take. So they did it 7 times through. And just about the point, for me anyway, I don't know about for the rest of you guys, just about the point we realize, or it really sinks in, like, holy shit, this is really 1 6-minute take. It's like, wow. Then they go up and over the fence.
Yeah.
And I think I'm not the only one who yelled at the TV, how the fuck did you do that?
Right.
So what they did is they had it rigged. They had rigged a crane so that basically the Steadicam operator was hooked to that crane at the last second, pulled up and over the fence, and then disengaged from the crane and allowed to continue following the action.
Oh my God.
That's how they did it.
Brilliant execution of that.
So anyway, he'd been planning a oneer for the entire of the run.
Was that a oneer?
That's a oneer. I looked that term up. I just learned that.
You just dropped that in there like,
boom.
He's a oneer.
A oneer.
Professional.
So Fukunaga had been planning that. So he wanted to find somewhere to do that. Now he had to sell everybody on this because everyone said BS. That's not going to happen.
We can't do a oneer on episodic television.
Not only that, you can't do it with this many extras and the amount of stuff
it's
they had going on.
It's expensive to do something like that.
Yeah.
It's one shot, but just the amount of work that needs to be done to do that.
Goodfellas at the Copa, blah, blah,
just
blah, blah, blah.
Unbelievable.
We know it, yeah.
Just unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, I mean, from my point of view, that was unbelievable. And
what's great about that shot, it really shows him trying to escape the projects and how hard it is. I mean, when you do cuts like that, sometimes there's a moment of, oh, okay, this is Hollywood. Yeah, I get it. He walks into the next frame and he's out. But this is perfect. 6 minutes of seeing him try to escape with gangbangers left and right of him and fighting all these people and evading the police.
It's full immersion into the moment.
And before we get into predictions, I will say on that thing is that what was brilliant about all that is in that moment, Russ had his own agenda, right? So the guys are doing the robbery, but Russ had his own agenda. He's got to keep the kids safe. He's got to keep everything safe. When things went bad, he's like, don't fire. When he shot the guy, Russ was like, okay, I got my own plan. He got out of there. He called Woody. He got to the car. 90 seconds, and goddamn, it was 90 seconds to the dot. That car pulled up, and they were out, and that happened. That was amazing.
And they did that. They shot it at an actual housing project. So beforehand, they came in and they found out what is the most interesting and the most logical path for us to shoot him actually escaping this housing project.
Right.
So that was all legit. Like, that is how you escape that particular housing project.
Amazing.
Unreal, man.
True motherfucking detective.
I love this
I said it. All right. Predictions. Can we get into some predictions?
AfterBuzz TV predictions.
There it is.
That's a new drop-in.
A hot new drop.
Oh, I thought I had more time.
No. I mean, I'm not going to. Julia, I'm not going to go to you first this time.
Thank you.
This time I'm going to go to. Actually, I'll go to you first. Go. Julia.
I I think she's gonna get real with that dude Ginger. I don't know who the actor is. I have no internet for some reason, but that dude is fucking awesome. That actor, I'm obsessed with him. The guy who's playing Ginger. Yeah. So I think we're gonna get a lot of action from him. And
he's a close talker. He's a close talker.
He's a close talker.
I think like
they get close to people when they talk.
If you had a beard like that, wouldn't you be a close talker too?
Yeah.
Everyone should be encompassed in that beard.
Yeah. Crazy. That's scary.
That's not a real prediction. I just really like that guy.
Fair enough. Flippo?
I think we have forgotten about the task force.
Yes.
The super secret, super Christian, anti-Christian task force.
Yes.
So I predict that the super secret, anti-Christian, Christian task force comes back, and we're gonna see some serious stuff with them. That is all.
Go.
I think now that the mystery is more or less, we're figuring out that it seems to be this Ledoux character that's behind it. I think next week's episode is going to feature a lot more of 2012.
Right.
We kind of saw a little bit. We kind of saw a little bit of McConaughey's character coming out of the room. So we're going to see a lot more 2012.
3 episodes to go. We got to get into 2012. We're going to see a lot more 2012. My same prediction. Julia, where can we find you?
Twitter. Find me on Twitter. Julia Cearley. JuliaCearley. Same thing on Instagram. And then here for a bevy of shows with these jumps.
Yep. I'm Joe Braswell. You can find me on Twitter at Joe K. Braswell and on Instagram at Joe K. Braswell. I made them the same. Joe K. Braswell for both.
Smart.
I did it. Joe.
You can find me on the Twitters at Joe Flippo, and you can find me on the interwebs at josephsanfelippo.com.
Nando.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Nandovel, Nandovel, and with these guys for the following, Bates Motel, everything, Walking Dead, I'm here for separately, and
Thank you everyone for following us from show to show to show. Thank you for downloading True Detective. Thank you for listening to you, and we'll see you again next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.